One of my listeners suggested that I do a video on future faking, so that's what I'm going to do. Thank you for the suggestion. And in today's video, I'm going to talk about some examples of what future faking is and why narcissists in particular really gravitate towards this form of manipulation. Welcome to Looking Behind the Mirror, where we explore narcissism and take our lives back as we make sense out of nonsense. As a quick disclaimer, everything I say is based on my opinions and my personal experiences. I'm not a professional, and if you're really struggling, I encourage you to seek professional help. I am providing links below for you. So really quickly, what is future faking? It's pretty self-explanatory. It's really any act of manipulation in which the narcissist fakes you out and makes you believe that something is going to happen that's not really going to happen, or that's probably not really going to happen. These are usually things that are very important to you, or very appealing, or otherwise something powerful enough to keep you hoping for things, keep you strung along, or just keep you around. For simplicity's sake, I'm going to describe future faking mostly in the context of a romantic relationship. However, future faking can take place in all kinds of relationships: family, friends, workplace. Narcissists use future faking to manipulate just about anyone that they need around them. So some examples would be if your partner has some dream that they're going to make come true, like I'm going to start a restaurant, or I'm working on this great new invention, or I'm going to start some other type of business and we're going to be rich and famous and I'm going to change the world. Narcissists aren't incapable of following through on their dreams, but they're usually very unrealistic, and they usually don't have a very good chance of following through on the things that they think they're going to do. These types of promises are things that might keep you strung along if maybe you're with this person and you're financially struggling, or maybe you're with this person and you're tired of them constantly being out of work or not pulling their own weight. You're thinking, okay, maybe right now he or she spends all their time sitting around on the couch just thinking about this dream that they're trying to manifest, and I'm doing all the work and paying all the bills, but according to him or her, we're going to be rich and famous someday, so maybe it's worth waiting around. Another thing you might hear is, I'm going to sue so-and-so or such and such. For some reason, there are a lot of narcissists that seem to have a lot of people that they can sue. So this can be something else that you're thinking, okay, this person doesn't work or do anything, but they're probably going to come into a lot of money this year, according to them. Of course, another type of future faking would be involving the relationship itself, like talking about marriage, or talking about moving in together, or maybe talking about having a child together, or maybe even getting a dog or a cat together. Something that's a step in the relationship that's really important to you that they just kind of allude to, keep you strung along. They just kind of imply maybe it'll happen, or they outright promise you it will as soon as this happens, as soon as that happens. And these, of course, are going to be things that you're really wishing and hoping for, and they're just stringing you along. These could be promises for things that you really need or hope for, or you really need a partner's help in order to obtain, like maybe buying a house together. Maybe that's a really big deal to you to be a homeowner, and you really feel like you need your partner's help in order to buy a home. So they promise they're going to help you buy a home. Maybe they even talk about what type of dream house that you're going to have together someday, but it never really happens. Maybe they're going to buy you a car or help you buy a car, and you really need a new car. Maybe your partner even has a lot of money. Maybe they're well off, well-to-do, and you're struggling and your car's falling apart, and they keep telling you that, don't worry, I'll buy you a new car, and they have enough money to do so. Or maybe they're just going to buy you a Peloton. I don't know. Promises for future gifts, future purchases, these things never quite come to fruition. There's always either an excuse, or like something happens where, oh, I was gonna do this for you, but now this happened, so I guess I can't, darn. Or maybe they just kind of stop talking about it and they start talking about something else that conflicts with the idea that they were talking about. You're too intimidated to ask them for clarification. Maybe they're promising to take you on some grand vacation you've been dreaming about. Maybe they're planning it with you and it's never really going to happen. But these things are things that keep hope alive in you. They keep something for you to look forward to. They give you a reason to put up with horrible, awful treatment, abuse, whatever it is you're going through, because you think there's going to be some grand reward. Another quick example, if this is taking place in the workplace, would be a boss that maybe promises you a raise or a promotion, or maybe talks about some beautiful new office they're gonna move you into just as soon as this happens, as soon as that happens. And this keeps you at the job that you may have otherwise quit and given up on. This keeps a dangling carrot in front of you. It keeps you there. It gives you a reason to keep hoping that things are gonna get better. Future faking is dangerous to your well-being because it distracts you from reality. It keeps you living in some kind of fantasy world, in a world of hope. It blinds you to how things actually are. It keeps you living in a future world. It keeps you living in a place where everything's gonna be great, where everything's gonna be the way you want it, where all your dreams are gonna come true. And you don't really stop to look at reality and how you're actually being treated really poorly, and what you have really isn't that great, and you really don't have any reason to believe that anything's gonna be that much better next year or 5 years or 10 years down the road, other than you're being told that they will be better. But there's really no rational reason to believe it. Future faking also makes you feel obligated to stay with somebody that might be treating you really poorly. What if in the case of this partner that has these grand designs and schemes that they're gonna invent something and change the world, maybe you're the one working full time and paying all the bills while they stay home and work on this dream, and it seems like it's the only thing they ever think about and it's so important to them. You might feel obligated to keep supporting them in this dream of theirs because on the face it kind of seems like something a supportive partner would do, right? A supportive partner would support their partner's dreams, right? But in the reality of a narcissist, these things are completely unrealistic, ridiculous. I mean, I think we need a partner that lives in reality. I think it's nice to dream big, but narcissists refuse to acknowledge how unrealistic their dreams are, and they don't appreciate how much work you do to support them. They don't appreciate your sacrifices, they expect them. And I think that's the difference between being a supportive partner to someone that really wants to fulfill some dreams and being somebody that's just being used and sucked dry by somebody that doesn't appreciate them, is completely living in a fantasy world, and is probably going to just dump you the minute their dream does come true, if it ever happens. And I have to mention that sometimes these future faking promises do come true. Sometimes the narcissist does follow through on these promises. And when this does happen, this is really just something that keeps you strung along. It is evidence that this person really is everything they claim to be. They really will follow through on their promises. And maybe for one promise they kept, maybe there's 10 or 15 that you're going to be waiting on for the rest of all time. But because they kept that one promise, now you have all this false hope for all the other ones. And it just makes it that much harder to face reality and leave a bad situation. Something that might set a narcissist's future faking apart from a well-meaning person that maybe just isn't very realistic is when a narcissist is future faking you, you kind of have this feeling that checking in for an update or asking them how things are going, or maybe even just confronting them and saying, hey, you told me a year ago that we'd be doing this or that by now, so what's up? You have this feeling that these types of inquiries are forbidden. And if you ever try to call the narcissist out on their broken promises, it's just not going to be worth it. They're going to be yelling and screaming at you for 3 weeks about how you're always hounding them, nagging them, you don't believe in them, you think they're a liar, whatever. So you kind of end up in a situation where you're sitting there wondering, hoping, and wanting to ask, but not really daring to ask. And that's a pretty awful place to be. You can really sit in a place like that for years. And if you're in that place, really, a loving, caring partner would never put you in a situation where you're really preoccupied with something that you're really longing for, that they have promised you, that they know that you're expecting, and you don't even feel comfortable bringing it up. You don't feel comfortable talking about it. If your partner has promised you something or implied a promise of something that you don't feel comfortable bringing up or talking about, that you're waiting for, that's a huge red flag that something's very wrong, and that for some reason you can't communicate with your partner without feeling threatened or feeling unsafe. I also want to mention the ways that you can future fake yourself when you're in a situation with a narcissist that's being abusive, difficult, maybe not pulling their weight or whatever. Something's just going really poorly in the relationship, as there's usually something wrong, and you're future faking yourself, thinking things like, well, he or she's really stressed out right now because they're out of a job, or they're waiting for that promotion, or they're trying to sell their invention idea to somebody, or whatever. Maybe they're going through something that's extra stressful, and you're thinking, as soon as they get through that, then things will get better. As soon as they get that promotion, they won't be so angry and ornery, and they'll be nicer to me. As soon as this happens, as soon as that happens, things are gonna be better. As soon as they get that raise, we'll be able to buy that house. And you're future faking yourself, and you're assuming these things. A good, healthy relationship doesn't have you living in the future. It doesn't have you hoping for that time that you're going to get over that hurdle and this hurdle and the other, especially when it's something that has to do with the way that you're being treated. Future faking can also keep us stuck, because whatever it is we've been future faked into is something we might have shared with other people. Maybe we talked to other people, friends and family, about this house we're gonna buy, or this job that your partner's going to get, or this vacation you're going on. And it can be really kind of humiliating to have to go back to those people and say, well, none of that's actually going to happen. So this can keep us in a little bit of denial. This can keep us hanging on, thinking, no, I don't have to admit that to anybody. It is going to happen. I just need to wait a little longer. And another thing I want to mention quickly is that narcissists don't necessarily know that they're lying when they're future faking. Sometimes they're out and out just lying to you, and they know that they have no intention on following through with what they're saying. But quite often, if they're promising you something in the future, they're either falling victim to their own unrealistic fantasy delusional world that they live in, and they really think that they're going to change the world and become rich and famous with their new invention. Or if it's something like you want to get married or move in together or have a child, they might really think that they mean it when they say, yeah, maybe next year after this happens or that happens. But for narcissists, it's important to remember that narcissists don't plan well for the future. They live in the present moment, and they're very much like children. A good analogy to understand what's going through a narcissist's mind when they future fake you is to imagine a child that really wants a puppy. And a young child will promise their mom or dad, I promise I'll take care of the puppy. I'll walk it and feed it and train it. I'll take care of the puppy. I just really want a puppy, please, please. And of course, when you get the puppy, 9 out of 10 children are going to quickly forget the promises they made to take care of that puppy, and the adults in the household will end up being responsible. Now, was that child lying when he or she promised that they would take care of that puppy? Not really. It's just that they didn't really understand the implications of what they were promising. They just weren't really thinking it through. And they were living in the present moment. All they cared about was what they wanted right then, right there. All a narcissist cares about is how they feel right now in this present moment. And whatever they have to say to you to get you to pay attention to them or stay with them or admire them or whatever, that's what they're going to say. And that's the only reason they're really saying that. And it's not really that they're thinking, I'm going to just totally make up this whole thing to keep this person around. I mean, I'm sure that happens, but a lot of the time they're just saying what they think they need to say, and they're not even really thinking about whether they mean it or not. And one more concept that's important to understand with narcissists and future faking is they feel like promising you that they're gonna buy you a house, or they're gonna marry you, or take you on a vacation, or whatever. They feel like promising you these things counts for something, that is an action in and of itself. They live in the present moment, and saying things, promising things is something of value in and of itself. And it doesn't really matter to them if they follow through. To them, they think you owe them something. You should be appreciating them because of what they've promised you, not because of what they've actually done. So you really owe them one for all those vacations that they promised to take you on. You better show some respect and appreciation, or they just might not take you on those vacations that they're actually probably never going to take you on anyway. Healthy relationships don't feel this way. Healthy, caring relationships are enjoyable today. They have things that are worth something today, in the present moment. You're not yearning for something that's missing. You're not longing for so much that you have to just hope for and wait for. Healthy relationships are fulfilling and happy and provide contentment right now. It's really important when evaluating a relationship not to be so lost in tomorrow that you become unable to evaluate what you have today. I hope this helps. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and comment below any ideas you have for me for future videos. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you like this video and would like to see more like it in the future. Until next time, thanks. Bye.